Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and we are expecting a balance patch likely to be coming out this upcoming week before we get into Perils in Paradise. And I wanted to go over what nerfs, maybe what buffs we could possibly expect to see with that patch. We know it's coming because with the Twist Hero update, they mentioned balance patch 29.6.2, which again would be before 30.0, which would be the next expansion. So we know it's coming. We'll go over what's looking like should be hit, and we'll talk about all of that. And we have our giveaway still going on for that Perils in Paradise expansion. We're giving away 2 regular pre-orders, 1 mega bundle out of my pocket. To enter that giveaway, like and comment in the video, link down in the description below, the one with that thumbnail over there. Be subscribed to the channel for every 1,000 subs we get until all the cards are revealed. I will add another mega bundle, so hit that sub button, make me go broke. So yeah, the Twist update thing here, I don't know why I was scrolling, does say that there's a patch 29.6.2. We take a look at HS replay, we're actually in a pretty balanced state of the meta. Whether you're enjoying it or not, that's a whole different story. But win rate wise, you got the top class, the bottom, separated by less than 10%, which is pretty rare to see these days. If we take a look at the meta itself, we'll just use Legend for example. You have Warlock and Paladin at the top, Pain Warlock, and Flood Paladin, Handbuff Paladin. All these decks have been nerfed. Dragon Druid, which has been nerfed. I think like every deck on this list has been nerfed at some point, but nothing's like a clear outlier. It's very aggressive, a lot of aggressive decks. You'll note that like the Reno decks, Highlander Hunter is the only tier 2, or Highlander Paladin 2, tier 2 deck, with like Highlander Warrior, Highlander Rainbow Deathlight not being quite up there. And ironically, I think it's one of the things that's going to get nerfed. And the latest Vicious Syndicate Data Reaper report shows a pretty good breadth of like classes being played. You take a look at they don't even have tier 1. They just think like it's balanced enough that you only have tier 2, tier 3 decks with, according to their list, they have 2 Reno decks being up there and, like 5 total, 6 total. And just like, yeah, a lot of aggression. Gaslight Rogue, which we're going to talk about, that deck drives me nuts. And if you take a look at the most popular cards in the meta, you'll look at the thumbnail and have an idea of where we're going with this. Ziliax in 75% of decks. Again, it's like a bunch of cards in one. It's not the best, number to look at, but it's super prevalent, with Yogg being in almost half of the decks, which I think is more a symptom of that Unkiliax, which we'll talk about. And then you have Reno Lone Ranger in 1/3 of decks, ETC in 1/3. And well, I mean, ETC is going to go into Reno deck for the most part. But yeah, what do I think should get changed? What do I want to get changed? Those are 2 different things. Let's go take a look at what I think might get changed. Before we get started with Standard, I will say I would love to see changes for Wild. In particular, the Demon Seed is just continuing to be one of the most popular polarizing cards in the format. It's like tier 2 / close to tier 1 in terms of power level, the most popular deck. Super frustrating if you want to play any late game based strategy. Wish it was dealt with earlier. And then of course, Rogue, which has like a million valid archetypes that are all pretty busted. I just would love to see it change at some point to Secret Passage, arguably the best card in Hearthstone history. It's up there. I can't believe it used to give you 5 cards. But again, I doubt we get a wild change this late into an expansion cycle, but I did want to throw that out there. So the one card I think that is absolutely safe to predict that will get nerfed in the upcoming patch, I would be completely shocked if it didn't, is Ziliax. The Ziliax, in particular, the virus module. Right now, that Unkiliax is just ridiculous. Once this is online, it is so hard for most classes to deal with, and you can't really kill them. They heal, especially with Warrior, they bring it back. I could see this getting like a mana increase, maybe a health reduction, something to it. I don't think it loses another keyword, but it is just too good. And again, we saw the numbers on Ziliax, like 75%. It is a huge frustration point for a lot of players. And since it's a neutral card, it really is defining a lot of stuff going on. And of the Prince Renethals, the Sire Denathriuses, the Astalors of the world, all those cards got nerfed as very popular neutral cards when they hit that threshold of like, what, 76% or a Reno at 33%, historically, those cards have always got nerfed or outright killed, right? So I expect to see this get nerfed. It's the only card that if I was to make the patch myself, would be one of the only cards I would nerf. There's very few cards I would nerf right now. I would just wait for the set, see what happens since things are relatively balanced. But Ziliax really does stand out to me. A card obviously I wouldn't nerf, but I do think will get nerfed for the reasons I stated. I think Reno Lone Ranger is going to get nerfed. It is such a contentious card. There are so many people that hate this card, can't stand it, and for good reason. It's really unfun to have your board poofed, be restricted to our board space. That's not really fun, right? Like, people call it the fun police for a reason, but it's one of the only ways to play late game strategies right now. So it sees a lot of play because people like doing that, and it's one of the only things that get you there. As I showed, it is not a powerhouse in the meta whatsoever. There's barely a tier 2 deck that plays Reno right now. But that's not how you balance the game in particular. And when a neutral's in 33% of the decks and you got an expansion coming up, they're probably going to worry about, you know, Reno dominating the meta. What do I think happens? If it was me, I think 10 mana is reasonable for a card like this. The best board clear ever should probably cost 10 mana. To me, it even looks funny that it's 9. Like, I could live with that. But I worry that they're going to like Renathal the thing, like, you know what, we got to kill it. Late game strategies can't exist. And they like, I don't know, take away the board restriction. They make the poof double-sided. Who knows? But I do think Reno will get hit. I really do. I've been predicting this for a while. If you've been watching my my channel, I think every day for the last like 3 weeks, I'm like, they're gonna Renathal Reno. They're gonna Renathal Reno. It's like I'm wishing it to existence, but I do think it makes sense considering the popularity of it. I just want them to not kill it because there's a lot of us who really love playing Reno decks, and already at 9, it's not super competitive. We're dying a lot before we can play it, so we'll see. But I think there's a very good chance he gets nerfed. The other main card I'm looking at that I would love to see get changed is another neutral, and you might not even really be thinking about it. This card is a problem card. It pops up in like all the scam decks. If you look right now at Pain Warlock, they play this to get their Molten Giants. They get their Prison Horrors and all that stuff, right? They get multiple for 0. You look at that stupid freaking rogue deck that drives me crazy with the Playhouse Giant. They use this not only to get another giant, but to Shadow Step this for 0 and get yet another giant. And you got Zarini Priest that also abuses this to replay Thirsty Drifters over and over. To me, this is a neutral card that just enables way too much for such a little cost. It's almost better than Zola in a lot of ways, right? It's a temporary card, but it's a lot cheaper. And that Shadow Step interaction is absolutely relevant. I'd love to see this card go to 3 or maybe 4, or maybe have it say that you add a temporary card of it to your hand. It can't cost less than 1, because that has been a word that needs to be on more cards. So I'd love to see it change to this card. I don't think it's as likely, but it's really one of those cards that's a focal point for a lot of these scam decks. Other things I would love to see get changed that I'm not entirely sure. Handbook Paladin's very countable, but it's one of the best decks out there. And every time I face this, I just don't understand how Painter's Virtue has lifesteal and has 3 durability. I feel like one of those things should go. This weapon is so freaking good. It's so insane, particularly the synergies with like Chargers that I wish they didn't put in the core set. But they did, so we gotta live with it unless they want to remove it, but they don't typically do that. I would love to see it either lose a durability or lose the lifesteal, so you can at least try and kill them while they play this thing, although the Tiger plushie makes that pretty hard to achieve. But it's another card of a frustration point for players, and it's not like exciting. Oh, they play Instrument Tech into Painter's Virtue. Hit, 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 I blow up. It's not super fun. It is definitely a card I would love to see get changed. And if there's one other card, I don't know. I know I already said Reno, but like one of these stupid cards, Bran, Boom Boss, make them more expensive, change their effect. They're just the focal point of so much frustration. Even if Reno Warrior isn't the best thing in the game, these cards just suck to face so much. I just wish they didn't make them. Like, I don't know. I find them very frustrating, very anti-fun, and would be something I would look at. And if we're looking at buffs, I don't know if we're expecting any. Since I have thought maybe they're going to nerf Reno, why not make Marut at least 6 mana? This is one of the worst I think it is the worst Highlander payoff card ever. And at least, you know, some of the older ones that are bad now saw a little bit of play, like the demon one for Warlock. It's just terrible. You can low roll the elemental so bad. It's 7 mana. The stats suck. Why not like improve the stats, make it cheaper, something, when you have a card like Marin, which is really good, really solid card. Seeing play, it's great. It doesn't even have a Highlander condition and it's better, right? Like, it just feels really odd to me that this card is so bad. Now, maybe buff a Yogg in the box for more random, but I feel like you don't want to go too crazy on buffs considering we have a new expansion coming out. We already had a ton of buffs. What's working isn't going to work with just a couple of stat increases. So let me know in the comments below. What would you like to see get buffed if they were to do that? But really, I just feel like I'm just excited to see what the next set has, and yeah, tone down a few things to get ready for it, or at best just nerf Ziliax and call it a day. Like, I really wouldn't mind if they just nerf Ziliax and leave the rest, but we'll see what happens. Or maybe they nerf nothing. I could even live with that, because again, we're in a pretty balanced meta right now, and we can just see what that next expansion does. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Let me know your suggestions down in the comments below. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.